Hi, I'm Stuart from the Norfolk Honey Company and welcome to an autumnal beekeeping basics. Okay, so it's another fabulous autumn day and we're getting to the end of our beekeeping season, but we need to make sure that the bees are well protected through the winter, and so today I want to show you how we protect from woodpeckers, and we also protect our hives from any mice that might try to get in through the entrances using a mouse guard. So we'll suit up and head over to one of the hives and we'll give you a demonstration of that. Okay, so to protect the hive from mice, we're going to use a galvanised strip with holes punched in it, and these are 3/8 of an inch. The millimetre equivalent escapes me at the moment, but I'll pop it in the text after we edit. So all you do is simply place this across the entrance. So we generally tend not to use these mouse guards because our entrances are normally quite narrow, so we try to restrict them down to below the 3/8 so that mice can't get in, and the bees, as you can see, are going in quite nicely. But just for the purposes of this, you want to line up the mouse guard on the bottom so that the holes allow for the bees to get into the colony, and then simply use your drawing pins to secure them in place. And I like to use 4 drawing pins to make sure that it's held securely. And there we are. So that's simple. Now it's protected from mice, but the bees can still move freely into the hive. It's worth mentioning, don't try to use queen excluder for this, because you might find that a lot of pollen will get brushed off, and in the winter if the bees find a source of pollen, then that's going to be really useful to them. These holes don't tend to knock too much pollen off, so if you're going to use a mouse guard, then this is a good one to use. Okay, and as a final protection, we've got some, I think this is 1-inch chicken wire cut to length, so each side of the roof is approximately 500mm wide, so 4 times that gives you about 2 meters or thereabouts, plus you want a little bit of overlap so that you can link it together, so you don't have to use any cable ties or anything. So all you have to do is simply stretch it around the hive, and the way I attach it is simply by hooking the wire over the top of the metal roof at the tops, like that, and that will hold it in place, and then you simply wind it round the back, pulling it reasonably tight onto the roof, and then securing it at the back. So we just simply use these pieces where we've cut it to length, we'll pull them across and wrap them around the wire, and just a couple at the top, and a couple in the middle, then perhaps 1 or 2 at the bottom, just to hold it securely. And by having it stretched around the top, it pulls the wire away from the hive so that the woodpecker can't get through the wire and into the hive. And that's the hive protected for the winter. We can now leave these and just come back and check them to make sure that they've got sufficient stores, and in the winter we'll do a varroa treatment, which we'll produce another video for. Okay, so the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that we've got a super beneath the brood box here, and the reason we've done that is to provide them with additional food. This is quite a prolific colony, and they had a lot of brood in the brood box, so we've provided them with additional stores in the super. So this is a national brood box with a national super, and on this one we've put the super beneath the brood box, and the reason for that is that the brood box, being the area where the nest is, means that it's now raised above the floor, so any cold winds that should blow through the winter will go under the colony, and the brood nest will be held above the super and should therefore be slightly warmer and protected from those cold breezes. If they need the food stores, they can go down into the super to get the food stores, but the brood nest is now held up in a slightly warmer position than if we had the super above the brood box. We've tried it in both ways. There seems to be no particular favourite. I guess a lot depends on the type of bees that you have, and certainly in our commercial hives, we don't tend to have a super with them unless they're a very big colony. We tend to leave them with just the brood box. So that's the explanation as to why we've got a super beneath the brood box, and as you can see, we're now completely protected against mice and woodpeckers, and they're good to go into the winter. Okay, so that's the hives with the bees taken care of, but don't forget that you'll have spare equipment in your apiary that you need to protect as well, particularly from woodpeckers and from mice and rats, that kind of thing. So what we've got is a stand, and we're using, quite simply, queen excluders to prevent anything from crawling up inside. So we'll place that on the stand, and then we'll square the supers onto the queen excluder. So these are supers that are ready to be used next year, and we don't want the woodpeckers from damaging these. And then the lid goes on, and we're now going to wrap it up in some more chicken wire. Okay, so we've simply dropped some chicken wire around the outside of the supers, and we attach it by slipping the top section of the chicken wire over the metal roof, and that holds it nicely in place. And if you pull it tightly across the top of the roof, then it leaves a small gap behind the chicken wire and the supers, so that the woodpecker can't physically get in to attack your supers. And then round the side we pull it tight, and then we'll simply loop over the chicken wire to make sure that it's nice and secure, and that holds it tight. So here we've got a stack of supers that's too tall for just one piece of wire, so it's simply a case of using two and dropping it over the top and double wrapping it. A simple protection against woodpeckers that works for us, and hopefully that will keep them nice and secure for the winter. Okay, so that's us set for the winter now. We've double wrapped these supers. We've got a queen excluder on the bottom here to prevent anything from getting in underneath. So these are safe now until next spring when we need to use them again. Okay, well, thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that of use. Please do subscribe and hit the like button, and we'll catch up with you again with another Beekeeping Basics.